Hello, hello, and welcome back again. My name is Jenny, and welcome to my channel. This is the place where I like to talk about all things murdery. Today, I'm going to talk about my 5 books that I wish that I could read again for the first time. So there's something so special about reading a book for the first time. You have all of that anticipation, you meeting these characters for the first time. Are they going to live? Are they going to die? Are they going to fall in love? Are they going to have that happy ending? Or is something catastrophic going to happen to them? Or maybe even a little bit of both. Reading a book the second or third time is like visiting an old friend. You know what to expect. It's cozy and warm, but all that excitement, that anticipation, that feeling of falling in love is just not as strong as it was the first time that you read it. You know whether your character's going to die or not. So yeah, let's get into it. I will tell you, not all of my books on my list are particularly murdery. Some of them are definitely more murdery than others. So I don't care. It's my 5 favorite books. Go with it. Okay, book number 1, The Art of Hearing Heartbeats by Jan Philip Sendker. So this is the book on my list that I would imagine most people may not have read before. So I picked this book up in 2015. I was having quite a bit of work stress, and so I decided to take an impromptu work trip, an impromptu not work trip, definitely, to Las Vegas. I went there for a couple of days by myself, just to kind of relax and unwind. And I picked Las Vegas because it's very easy to get around by myself. I could walk most anywhere I needed to go. And what I really wanted to do was go and read by the pool, and Las Vegas, very easy to do that. So I went to Barnes & Noble before I went, and I had no plan whatsoever, which is always a little bit dangerous. You always spend more money that way. But I went to just see what called to me. And that's where I found this book. So it's shiny. Look how shiny the cover is. So I had no idea. I couldn't even tell you in terms of reading like the blurb on the back or anything why I picked this book, other than the fact that the cover is shiny. And that's probably not a good reason, but it worked out. So what is this book about? So this is the story of a young woman whose father mysteriously disappears. Just one day, her very stable, loving father, boom, just gone. And the only clue that she has to his disappearance is a letter that she has found that was written years before. It's a love letter that he wrote to a woman in Burma. So what does she do? She abandons her life and she picks up and she goes to Burma, because that's what you do when your father disappears. When she gets there, she meets this man who tells her a story about a young boy who is blind, who meets a woman who is unable to walk. She's crippled. And he starts to carry her everywhere on his back. So she becomes his eyes. She tells him everything that she is seeing and how to get there and where to go and all of the things. And he takes her everywhere. And it's their story. I don't want to tell you more because this is the book that you probably haven't read, most likely on my list. And it's so beautiful. So I remember finishing this book on the plane, flying home, and I was just sobbing on the plane, And I can only imagine what people around me were thinking. I don't care. But it's one of those moments where you finish a book and you look around you and you're like, how is the world still carrying on as though nothing has happened? It is one of those books. I don't know why the book is not more well known. It is a little bit older. Let's see, when was this book published? 2002. So the book is 20 years old. There is a sequel. I've honestly not read the sequel because I loved this so much that I'm afraid they're going to ruin it. So I didn't read the sequel. But yes, so this is the first book on my books that I wish that I could read again. Like, it hit me so emotionally hard. I wish that I could read it again. The Art of Hearing Heartbeats by Jan Philip Sunker. Go read it for sure. So, book number 2. I'm going to guess everybody has read this book, The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. So, if your immediate response is, well, I didn't read the book, but I saw the movies, stop it. It does not count. Unfortunately, your impact of reading this the first time will probably be a little bit different if you did see the movie and haven't read the book, but I don't care. Go read the book anyway. First of all, it's a super easy read. It's meant for young adults, so this is not, this is not hardcore literature here. One of the things that I think Suzanne Collins does so phenomenally well is character development, and also just painting the picture of this world. So I remember reading this, and you can just see all of these gaunt, gray, sad characters from District 12 and how she juxtaposes those so harshly against these vibrant, ridiculous, over-the-top characters from the Capitol. And just you fall in love with these characters. I mean, if by some chance that you have not read this or seen this, I'm going to avoid the spoilers, but some of the deaths that happen, this is arguably the most murdery book on my list. There's one death I think we can all agree in particular that I have read this book so many times. I have seen the movie so many times. I know I still cry when this one character dies. So if by some chance you haven't read it and don't know, I don't want to spoil that for you. And for literally everyone else, you know who I'm talking about. So I don't remember who told me first about The Hunger Games because it was a while ago that I read this. Of course, I've read the whole rest of the series as well. But then, of course, I subsequently went and told everyone else, you must read these. So, yeah, Hunger Games. Wish that I could read this again for the first time, for sure. Okay, this third book, also not murdery, and the most recent book that I have read on my list, I just read this book this year, is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I have now read most of her other books. I haven't read them all, but I've read most of the other ones. I'm really glad that this is the first book of hers that I read because I have not liked her other books nearly as well. I still like some of the other books. This one, though, was definitely the one that hit me the hardest. So one of my coworkers recommended this book to me. She and I are now like this when we talk about books all the time. We are book buddies. So The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is about an aging Hollywood icon who has been married 7 times, and she's getting older, and she has reached out to this relatively unknown journalist kind of out of the blue and said, I want you to come and write my story. So the whole book is her telling her story to this journalist. If you have not read it, you have to be thinking about why did she pick this journalist? Why did she pick this timing? So these are kind of the important questions. But the question that the journalist most wants answered for the public is, who amongst Evelyn's 7 husbands was the love of her life? Like, who was her favorite husband? The one that really meant the most to her. There's so much rampant speculation. And ultimately the answer is one that is unexpected. So I was a little nervous when I first started reading this book because I didn't think I was going to like Evelyn. I thought she was going to be, kind of vapid and vain and kind of that stereotypical rich old lady. And that could not have been farther from the truth. Evelyn is an absolute powerhouse. She is amazing. So yes, although this book is not murdery, there are deaths in this book, some of which are unexpected. So yeah, definitely go pick this book up if you have not read it. The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. If you have not read anything by TJR, start here. She does have a new book out called Carrie Soto is Back. I have not read that one yet, but it's on my to be read list for sure. Okay, next up. Kristen Hanna, The Nightingale. So this one I do remember how this book came to me very specifically. So in 2018, in January of 2018, I took a 14-day cruise from California to Hawaii. It was amazing. So I was going to have a lot of days at sea. It takes 4 days to get from California to Hawaii. So before you get anywhere, you've got 4 days at sea. Again, my favorite vacation is a cruise. Anybody who knows me well knows it's kind of become a running joke. I love to cruise. And one of my favorite activities is to sit on a cruise ship balcony with a good book and a margarita and just leave me alone until the end of time. Like, I could do that for the rest of my life and it would be fine. So before I went, I reached out to my friends and my family and said, hey, tell me your fluffy beach reads. Like, I'm going to go and I'm just going to woo. And person after person said to me, you have to read Kristen Hanna's The Nightingale. and I said, there is nothing fluffy, nothing beach read. I haven't read the book. I don't really know what it's about. It is not a fluffy beach read. I know it's not. It's set during World War II. And there is nothing fluffy about World War II, okay? And all of my friends said, I don't care, Jenny. Read this book. First of all, it's a beast. It's a pretty healthy sized book. Let's see, 500 and something odd pages here. I don't care. Read this book. They were so right. So this book is about two sisters who are essentially stuck behind enemy lines during occupied France during World War II. So they're they are just trying to figure life out all of a sudden after France has fallen to the Nazis. And sister one is younger. She's not married. She doesn't have children. And she is determined to be part of the resistance. Like, she wants to fight. The other sister is a married mother of a young child. She's living in a rural, like a rural house out in a small village. And her husband has gone off to the war. And she just wants to survive. She just wants to protect her child. That's what she wants. She doesn't want to get involved in the resistance. She doesn't want to be involved. She just wants to survive the war. So, and they butt heads. The sisters are constantly butting heads. Like, don't get involved. Don't get in trouble. You're going to get yourself killed. How can you not get involved? Don't you see what's happening in France? Like, we've got to fight back. So I don't know if I cried I'm sure I cried at the end of this book. I don't know how I could have not cried at the end of this book. But it was definitely one of those where you just like, I love you. So if by some chance you have not managed to pick up Kristen Hanna's The Nightingale, my book buddy, the one who recommended Evelyn Hugo to me, I have been like beating her with this book. How have you not read it? And she kind of is doing the same thing to me that I was doing to other people. Like, it's too much. I don't want to read it. It seems like I'm going to cry, and nobody wants to do that, but I don't care. Stop what you're doing. Kristen Hanna, The Nightingale. Like, if you pick up none of the other books, like, this is probably the one that you should pick up if you have not read any of them yet. So go read it. So last but not least, my fifth book on my list is Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows by J.K. Rowling. So this book is the one and only time I ever went to a bookstore at midnight, the night of a new release, to buy a book. So obviously the copy that I bought at the time was a hardback. This is my paperback copy. I don't know whatever happened to my hardback copy. I'm guessing one of my nieces absconded with it many years ago. I ended up buying a paperback box set of all of the books, so I have them all. And this is the version that I currently own. So this is book 7 of the Harry Potter series. Again, if you have not read these, how, why, and again, if you tell me that you did not read the books, but that you saw the movies, like, no. I'm going to do a whole video of rating these relative to the book versus the movies. Book 6, movie, unwatchable. Like, if you've read book 6 and then seen the movie, it is unwatchable. They did a much better job, I will grant you, especially because they broke this, as they needed to, into 2 movies. But J.K. Rowling is the queen. Like, she is the best of writers. I kind of compare these, like, my boyfriend and I talk about the Marvel series, like Iron Man and all, Avengers and all that, that they set the bar at a different level for movies. They're special. They are funny, and there's action, and they're clever. They just set the bar at a different level. Harry Potter, I think, has done that as well. Harry Potter set the bar at a different level for books. I can only imagine that people to this day are still walking into bookstores and saying, I loved Harry Potter. What else should I read? Booksellers out there, please let me know how many times a day you're still being asked that question, because I know I have walked into Barnes & Noble and said that before. I want something that I'm going to love as much as Harry Potter, and it is a high bar, right? It is a really high bar, especially because she carried it out through such a long time. Like, it wasn't just one book. She carried this out for such a long time, and they're beasts too. So I remember sitting on my parents' couch, because I was living with my parents at the time when this book came out, and I'm sitting on my couch and just when I'm getting to certain parts, certain deaths, bawling my eyes out, and my mom can see my mom standing in the kitchen like, because she, of course, had not read it yet. She was waiting for me to finish my book so that I could give it to her. And she's sitting in the kitchen, like, and I'm just like, I can't tell. Everything is fine. It's fine. Yeah, no, we all know that there were for certain people, it was not. For certain people, it was not fine. I own the audio version of this book as well, and it is my favorite thing to listen to on a long road trip, because I still love it. It's been years. I've read the book many times. I've listened to the audiobook many times. I don't care. I have a long road trip planned with my boyfriend in October. He's never read the books. My boyfriend is not a big reader. He has seen the movies. I might make him listen to this in the car. Possibly. Yeah. That seems like a good plan, right? So anyway, there you go. There's my 5 books that I wish that I could read again for the first time. Please let me know in the comments, which of these have you read? What did you think of them? Are there any that you would take off the list that you have read? And what other books should I consider if I haven't, especially if I haven't read them yet? We're all constantly seeking, having had these kind of special experiences with these books. I feel like every time I pick up a new book, I want that experience. I want that special, like, oh my gosh, this was amazing. How have I not read this before experience? So what's your favorites? Let me know in the comments. Please remember to like and subscribe to this video. And as always, have fun, be safe, and don't murder anyone. All right. Thank you. Bye.